This is a judge's orientation presentation for the Dickinson High School History Fair. We want to take a minute to thank you for supporting the Social Studies Department and for supporting advanced placement students here on our campus. A little bit of context and background before we get into the process on how the contest works. There are 5 categories the students can choose from: paper, website, performance, documentary, and exhibit. Students may choose to work as an individual or in groups of 2 to 5. For the History Fair in November, we are asking language arts teachers to evaluate our students' papers. We're asking social studies teachers and any other staff on campus to evaluate and judge the exhibits. If you are interested in evaluating websites, performances, or documentaries, please let someone from the Social Studies Department know, and we would love to have your help. Here's the progression of the contest. The school event will take first and second place winners to the regional event. This will be in Baytown in the month of February. First and second place winners from the regional event get to compete in the state competition in Austin in May. And when we have national winners this year, we will take them to Washington, D.C. in June. The project life cycle runs from about August to June. We have students pick a topic. We take them to the library where they learn about the school databases and start their research project. They write a thesis, they do some analysis and synthesis, and then they create one of these 5 entries. The important part from here is the contest and the feedback pieces, which is where you come in. Your mission is to help students foster a love for history, have some positive interactions, constructive feedback for all is very important, respecting every student, and turning off cell phones. This is primarily for the interview round. Unfortunately, here we probably will not have a lot of interviews at the school level. The theme for this year's competition is Breaking Barriers in History. Students can choose any topic of their choice. Their topics can be on a local, national, or world history scale. As long as it is as long as it has a historical perspective to it and that it ties back, they can tie it with a relationship back to this theme and its significance to history. Just a minute. When you are evaluating entries, we are looking for historical quality. That's 60% over the overall evaluation. This is going to be accuracy of research, thorough research, primary sources, balancing presentation, and thoughtful analysis and interpretation of what they have researched. We will be showing you in the evaluation form and speaking to how you find this information and how you evaluate this through the rest of this presentation. So our goal at this point of the competition is to keep kids learning by providing this constructive feedback and this positive environment, especially those that are going forth to regional. We want them to continue to improve upon their project and take it to that next level for the next level of competition. Your constructive feedback is key to helping us do that. Wanted to keep in mind that the National History Day, this project teaches critical thinking, writing, and research skills, prepares students for college, for work, for collaboration, and it really inspires students to reach a little deeper and further than they thought that they could before. For you personally, we ask that you be aware of topic biases. Sometimes you will see non-traditional history topics. There may be an absent narrative topic. Be careful to not overfavor your favorite topics or to have a local history bias if they did something about Dickinson, awarding them more points because it's about Dickinson, or be careful of your political bias leaning left and right as you go through your evaluation process. So you are going to explain your rankings through constructive and positive comments. You're going to phrase your comments clearly, and you're going to explain how they can improve so they can be more successful next time. This is really key in your comments that you make. Expect quality work, but please remember that you are evaluating the work of young students, many of whom have only done this for the first time. So they're just beginning to learn historical research, project development, and presentation techniques. So they need a lot of praise, but they also need to know what didn't work so that they can make it work for next time. There is a rule book. You may have access to the rule book the day that you come in to do the evaluations, but I think everything you'll need to know will be on the evaluation sheets. So let's take a look at the evaluation sheets. In front of every exhibit will be a title page, a process paper, and an annotated bibliography. The process paper explains how students went about research and the creation of their entry, and how it relates to the theme. It is a max of 500 words. It can't be any longer than that. You need to read this process paper carefully before viewing the entry. This is really going to clue you in to how into it the kid got, how much work the groups really did. Please pay close attention to the fourth paragraph of the process paper, their connection of how their topic relates to the theme. If they don't have that clearly stated, then that definitely needs to be some constructive feedback that they get in your comments. Attached is also an annotated bibliography. This is how the work was used in producing the entry. So not only their sources, but under each one of their sources, they give an explanation of how they used that source. So looking over that pretty carefully, both for volume of how many sources they have, and also their annotations of how much they really engaged with that research and into their product is very important. Annotated bibliography should also be divided by primary and secondary sources. The bottom of the evaluation sheet has a box for rules. For exhibits, they are not to be more than 6 feet high, 40 inches wide, and 30 inches deep. There is a word limit of 500 student-composed words. We do not ask that you count every single student-composed word, but please note if there's obviously a lot more than 500 student-composed words. They are allowed to have quotes and maps and pictures and all of those things that don't count towards those 500 words. That's 500 of their own thoughts on the exhibits. If they have media, it must be no longer than 3 minutes. It must be able to be controlled by you. And it can't be a taped commentary. It can't be just them talking about what they thought about the project. It needs to be a part of the speech or quote or something, probably some sort of primary source. There are credits of the visual sources required. At this level, a lot of them may not have them, so that does need to be marked on the evaluation form. But anytime a visual source is used on the board, it should have a credit under it from where they found it. We're not going to do documentaries in this training or performances, and papers will hopefully be read by our English teachers in evaluation. The evaluation forms for the papers will look much like the one for exhibit that we are about. Okay, here's what the evaluation form looks like. These need to be done fully, and we'll talk about it a little in depth as we go. But let's just take a look at the breakdown of it here. The historical quality is 60%. We saw that earlier with that little pie graph. So to be able to really evaluate this squarely and fairly, you do need to make sure that you have looked at that process paper and especially the annotated bibliography to really kind of evaluate what kind of research that they have done. You'll put that information together with looking at the board and the information that's present on the board, and that's where you should be able to make your evaluation for these bullets under historical quality. The relationship to the theme, once again, you will need to make sure you read that process paper, focus mainly on that fourth paragraph of the process paper, and then also be looking back at the board to make sure that that connection between theme and topic is clear in their final presentation. And then the clarity of the presentation is just sort of overall, does it flow? Can we see the context, the background, the impact? Can we see all those parts and pieces? Does it all make sense together on the board? That needs to be checked. Constructive yet critical feedback. What you did, what did they do well? How can they improve? And then remember the age of the audience. You're going to give check marks and written comments on the right. So here's a non-example of a good evaluation form. We have very little comments. The comments are just good, awesome. They don't really give any specific details as to what was good about it or why they thought that it was so superior. There's bias of topic in those comments. The check mark marks everything superior. So that means they think this is a perfect nationals competition winning exhibit, and if so, then please give that justification and that explanation of why. And there's always some room for growth. There's always some room in the middle there for some constructive criticism. This is a better example where the comments are positive. Specific criticisms are backed up with examples. And the comments support the check marks. The comment should give some sort of explanation of why the check mark was put where it was in your opinion. Comments are positive. Criticism is phrased constructively. The comments support the check marks. This is what we're looking for. There's a sandwich that we need to talk about, the comment sandwich. So on the comment phrase, we should start with positive comments, then constructive comments, then positive comments. Start and finish with something purely positive. Place your constructive feedback in the middle. Students will find it to be a more tasty combination. So please find something good to say, then let them know where they could do better the next time around, validating the check marks that you had given, and then finish them off with, kudos for their efforts to this point. We thank you so much for your time in watching this video and hope it has been helpful for you in helping us in our evaluation process. Please contact Jerry Jocelyn or Janet Klein if you have any questions or would like any additional information about History Fair. Thank you.